Okay, so Sydney Sweeney just broke her silence on that American Eagle controversy, and honestly, what she said is making everything worse. But hold on, because we're also diving into why Flavor Flav is getting absolutely destroyed by Dancing with the Stars fans, the Millie Bobby Brown and David Harbour bullying rumors that just got addressed at the Stranger Things premiere, and wait until you hear which two Hype House members just got Grammy nominations, because I'm still processing that one. But first, let me tell you about this GQ interview with Sydney, because the internet is not holding back, and there's a reason why people are saying she's completely out of touch right now. So, Sydney finally addressed the whole American Eagle jeans ad situation, you know, the one where people accuse the campaign of promoting some pretty questionable messaging about genetics and blonde hair, blue eyes, and when the interviewer asked her about it, she basically said she did a jeans ad and loves wearing jeans. Like, that was the whole explanation. The journalist even pointed out that the criticism was specifically about joking about genetic superiority in this political climate, and Sydney just deflected, saying when she has an issue to speak about, people will hear from her, which honestly felt like a non-answer that's making people even more frustrated. And here's where it gets wild. The interviewer brought up how the president and vice president actually commented on her jeans ad on social media, and Sydney called it surreal. Just surreal. And when asked if she felt thankful that powerful people had her back, she said she wasn't really thinking about any of it because she was filming Euphoria 16-hour days and didn't bring her phone to set. Now, I get being busy, but the way she's handling this is coming across as dismissive to a lot of people because they feel like she's not acknowledging why folks were upset in the first place. And the comments on this interview are brutal, with people calling her smug and saying that surreal response tells them everything they need to know about where she stands politically. But wait, there's more, because literally the same day this GQ interview dropped where Sydney claimed she's single, she was photographed kissing Scooter Braun in Central Park. And you know Scooter's reputation in the industry isn't exactly stellar after the whole Taylor Swift Masters situation. People are now speculating that maybe Sydney and Scooter are bonding over both being somewhat canceled by the internet. And I don't know if that's the foundation for a great relationship, but the optics aren't looking good for Sydney right now, especially when she's trying to say she's single while being spotted with him constantly. And honestly, I think Sydney had so much goodwill from fans who loved her in Euphoria and Anyone But You, but this year has been a masterclass in how to lose public favor, because between the family party with the Trump supporter allegations, the American Eagle ad backlash, and now the Scooter Braun situation, people are starting to question everything about her. The thing is, I don't think Sydney is a bad person, but the way she's navigating these controversies is making her seem out of touch with why people are concerned. And when you're in the public eye, you can't just say, I did a jeans ad, and expect that to be enough of an explanation when there's legitimate criticism about the messaging. Now, speaking of controversies, let's talk about what happened on Dancing with the Stars this week, because Flavor Flav was a guest judge, and fans are losing their minds over his scoring. So Alex Earle, who's been killing it this season, danced one of her best routines and got all 10s from the regular judges, except Flavor Flav gave her a 9, and people were like, what is happening here? Because he also gave the same score to someone who clearly didn't dance at the same level. The backlash was so intense that after the show, when reporters asked Flavor Flav why he gave Alex a 9, he admitted it was an accident. He literally posted on Twitter explaining that judges hit their scores on a computer first, then hold up the paddle, and he accidentally hit 9 instead of 10, and when he told the crew he meant to give her a 10, they said he couldn't change it. Flavor Flav wrote that Alex deserved perfect 10s and said people could see him looking down at the computer confused, and he couldn't get his words out because he was watching the computer trying to figure out what happened and couldn't find the right paddle because he was ready to go with his 10. He said he found Alex afterwards, apologized, and let her know what happened, and she was cool about it, which honestly is very gracious of her because that mistake potentially affected her scores for the week. But here's the thing, I don't understand why the show chose Flavor Flav to be a guest judge if the scoring system is that complicated and easy to mess up, because this isn't the first time a guest judge has caused drama on Dancing with the Stars. And actually, Alex Earle's stepmom was responding to her own controversy from the previous week because Cheryl Burke was the guest judge then, and everyone gave Alex 9s, except Cheryl gave her an 8, and Alex's stepmom Ashley made a TikTok comment telling Cheryl to go take more Ozempic, which was completely inappropriate body shaming. Cheryl responded, calling out the body shaming, saying it was especially wrong to do in front of children since Alex's little brother was in the video, and honestly, Cheryl was right to call that out because there's no place for that kind of commentary. So this week, after the Flavor Flav scoring situation where Alex got all 10s except his accidental 9, Ashley posted a wholesome TikTok of the family watching and captioned it, "See, I can behave," which was clearly her way of saying she learned her lesson from last week and wasn't going to go off on another guest judge, even though Flavor Flav already admitted his mistake. The whole Dancing with the Stars drama this season has been wild, and I think the show needs to reconsider how they're handling guest judges because it's causing more problems than it's worth when you have people who aren't familiar with the system making scoring errors or controversial decisions. Now let's shift gears to the Stranger Things premiere because this was a huge moment that addressed some serious allegations that were floating around. So earlier this week, multiple news outlets reported that Millie Bobby Brown had allegedly filed a bullying and harassment complaint against David Harbour while on set of Stranger Things, and the reports even claimed she had a representative on set with her during filming because of how David was supposedly acting toward her. These were pretty serious allegations, and they were coming from what seemed like credible news sources, so people were talking about it, and given everything that's come out about David Harbour since Lily Allen's album, where she basically painted him as not being a great husband during their marriage with the whole open marriage betrayal situation, people were starting to believe maybe David isn't the good guy everyone thought he was. But then, at the Stranger Things Season 5 premiere, which is the final season by the way, Millie and David showed up together on the carpet, took photos together, were hugging and being very friendly, which seemed like their way of putting those rumors to rest. Millie even spoke to reporters about their relationship, calling David a father figure and saying they have a really special bond because they have this father-daughter dynamic both on screen and off-screen. And she talked about how honored she's been to play 11 and meet such amazing people along the way, including David, who's been with her through this whole journey. So it definitely seems like they wanted to shut down those bullying allegations by showing a united front at the premiere. And honestly, if there was truth to those reports, I don't think Millie would be hugging David and speaking so highly of him publicly. But it does make you wonder where those reports came from in the first place because multiple outlets were covering it, so someone was spreading that information whether it was true or not, and that's concerning because false allegations like that can really damage someone's reputation. I think we should probably take this as Millie and David saying the reports were false and move on, but it's wild that this became such a big story just days before their premiere. Alright, now let's talk about something that completely shocked me. The Grammy nominations came out this week, and I'm still trying to process the fact that 2 former Hype House members are nominated for Best New Artist. Like, what timeline are we living in? Alex Warren and Addison Rae both got nominated in the Best New Artist category, and while I kind of saw Alex Warren's nomination coming because his song Ordinary has been massive, and he's really been building a legitimate music career, Addison Rae's nomination caught me completely off guard. I'm not saying she doesn't deserve it, but it's just surprising to see someone who is primarily known as a TikTok creator and had that brief pop music moment get a Grammy nomination, and I feel bad for artists like Role Model, who many people think got snubbed because he's been putting out quality music consistently. I also would have loved to see Raven Lenae get nominated because Love Me Not was everywhere this year and felt like it had more cultural impact than some of the nominees, but that's just my opinion, and the Grammys have always been controversial with their choices. The full Best New Artist category includes Olivia Dean, Chappelle Roan, Sabrina Carpenter, Addison Rae, Teddy Swims, Shabuzi, Alex Warren, and Kruggenbond. And honestly, it's a pretty diverse group of artists from different genres. For Song of the Year, we've got some massive hits like Apt by Rose and Bruno Mars, Espresso by Sabrina Carpenter, Texas Hold'em by Beyoncé, and Birds of a Feather by Billie Eilish, among others. And Album of the Year nominees include heavy hitters like Beyoncé, Sabrina Carpenter, Billie Eilish, and Kendrick Lamar. I honestly don't know who's going to take home the big awards because this year has been so competitive with so many different artists having breakthrough moments, but I'm curious what you guys think about these nominations and whether you're happy with who got recognized or if you think some artists got snubbed. Let me know in the comments who you're rooting for because I love hearing different perspectives on award shows since everyone has their favorites. Now, we need to talk about the Huda Beauty situation because they just dropped a partnership with Huda from Love Island, and the backstory here is pretty intense. So, Huda Beauty had been working with Huda from Love Island, and they'd been hinting at this partnership since she left the villa, and she'd posted content with them, but then something happened on a live stream with her and Lewis that changed everything. During their lives, someone called in and used a slur against Alandrea, who's another Love Island contestant, and instead of immediately shutting it down, Huda and Lewis laughed, which obviously did not go over well with anyone watching. Multiple people from Love Island, including Alandrea herself and Cashel, came out saying how inappropriate it was for Huda and Lewis to be laughing after hearing something so offensive, and they said it was no laughing matter at all. Huda tried to explain that she was laughing because she was uncomfortable and it was an awkward moment, but Alandrea and others called that out, saying there was nothing uncomfortable or awkward or funny about what was said, and laughing was the wrong response, period. So Huda Beauty made the decision to end their partnership with Huda Mustafa, and they posted a statement on Instagram saying that kindness and humility are at the heart of everything they do, and unfortunately their recent collaborator displayed behavior that doesn't align with their